Thanks for playing the intro, mate.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
A long bit of silence there as I looked for the intro and it just did not play. But you heard it there. Finally, we are back with the Daily Brighton podcast. I am your host, Jamie G. I am joined by my sidekick, Joseph Richardson. Joe, how we doing?
Wow, Joseph, that's mental.
Yeah.
That's mental. yeah, I'm good. That intro's hilarious, by the way.
If you watch it on the YouTube channel, you'll see me panicking, looking through the screen. Where the hell is the intro button? But we are here to do our crossover pod with the Nottingham Forest podcaster. Welcome to the screen, Mark Jarvis.
Hey, how are you? You're all right, lads.
Yes,
all good, mate. So,
I'm loving the Joseph. That's a great start. We should have that. You're Josinho Rutter to me now.
Josinho Rutter, mate. Yeah, take that.
Sorted. What a cracking start. Slick.
So we are here to obviously talk about Sunday's game. I mean, the 2:00 kickoff on Super Sunday is reserved for two of the most impressive teams so far this Premier League season, I reckon. It's a clash for the European places, potentially. Who would have thunk it at the start of the season? We'd be saying that. It's 6th versus 7th, and as it stands, both teams undefeated. Starting the Premier League season very well. Nottingham Forest, yet to lose, Joe. Coming off an upset win against Liverpool. 2 wins, 2 draws. Are Brighton the team to knock them off their pedestal and finally give them their first loss?
I feel like you've just come to me on like a Soccer Saturday. I don't know why. That just gave Soccer Saturday vibes.
And pitch side.
It's gonna be a very cagey game, I feel like. And you would think on paper, okay, Brighton at home, they started well. Nottingham Forest roll into town. Sort of what's going to happen. But Nottingham Forest look a bit of a changed side this season. And I feel like a lot of people, when they do their predictions at the start of the season, they don't want to put all 3 of the promoted teams to go down. So they'll chuck a team that's already in the Premier League. They'll chuck one of them in. And I feel like a lot of people chucked in Nottingham Forest. And they've proved people wrong with some shrewd business in the summer window. I would obviously love to say that I feel like we will put an end to this unbeaten run, but obviously the performance against Ipswich wasn't great. So we are looking to bounce back actually tonight, to be fair, against Wolves, but we're looking to bounce back and hopefully pick up the 3 points.
Yeah, and you mentioned the shrewd business there, and they have done shrewd business indeed. They brought in a couple of decent players. They've shored up the back line, that's for sure. They've brought in 2 centre mids, Ward-Prowse and Elliot Anderson, although we're hit and miss, and we'll touch on that later, on why we're hit and miss on them. But yeah, I guess, Mark, what has impressed you most about Nottingham Forest's start to this campaign, compared to, I guess, last season when you weren't great?
I mean, to be fair, the thing that's impressed me most is turning on BBC Sport and finding out we're not losing. That's like always a win. Do you know what I mean? It's always like, oh, that's positive. Great Saturday. The thing that worries me this week, though, right, Super Sunday on Sky, it's Brighton Forest, and I think is it City, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, one of them?
City, Arsenal, yeah. It's
a battle of the unbeaten teams, which means either we're going to get battered or it's going to be the worst game you've ever seen. So I'm like, and I think we drew 0-0 with you last season at Brighton, didn't we? So after Ipswich last week, it could be another boring score draw. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that is the thing I was fearing as well. I was actually going to say my predictions. I reckon it's just going to be like a 1-1 or like a really dull game, like Super Sundays, as they call it. They big it up, and then it just never delivers.
Do you know what? I'd love to see like a 3-3. That'd be epic, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be vibes. I can't lie. Be great for the podcast.
And much like Brighton, Nottingham Forest have only conceded twice so far this season, which is good enough for joint 3rd best defensive record in the league. I guess, what has been the biggest reason for that improvement? Is that Nuno's influence, or is that something else?
I think it will be Nuno's influence. I think he's had time to actually gel with the squad now. He had a good start last season, one against United, one against someone else, but then we had AFCON and like an international break, and loads of people got injured, and it just fell apart. And we managed to kind of salvage it again, and he refigured it out towards the end of the season. And I feel like with the pre-season, getting a few players that he wants, shrinking the squad because he likes a smaller team, he's really starting to get those tactics like drilled in with the players and the kind of style and the energetic, fast football that he likes to play. So it's good. It's better. Defensively, we do look surer. The downside for Forest is that I think up until Liverpool, we'd had like by far the most shots of any team in the league. We were like 5-6 shots clear from the first 3 games. We'd had like 36 shots or something, and we'd scored twice. That's more of an issue, I think. It's like we can't hit a barn door. Luckily, there isn't a barn door for other people to score through, but we still can't hit one. So it's either going to be a very successful season or a very boring season. Do you know what I mean? But I think the defensive surety, it is good. It gives a thing to build on. But I think what I'm most pleased with is we've signed 2 more wingers, Sousa and Jota, who probably will just feature off the bench this season. They look dangerous, but not quite at the same level of Hudson-Odoi and Elanga in terms of consistency. But it's having the players on the bench that teams look at and go, oh, that's a threat. Because last season, and especially the first year, you looked at our lineup and you were like, I don't fear that. So if I was an opposition manager, I'd be like, just go for it, attack them, because they've got nothing against us. Like, there's nothing to threaten our like team. So having that threat off the bench is definitely a big improvement this season, I would say.
And yeah, I mean, one of the things that has, or listening to Mark Joe, and what he's just said, and I guess I was looking up some stats, and I think possession-wise, you're one of the lowest in the league. I think 15th is in terms of keeping the ball. What kind of game
that'll probably get worse.
be 38 by the end of the season. This is when you're at the highest as well.
We're actually in League One by the end of the season just for possession. We're like 3 leagues down.
Yeah, what kind of game are you expecting, Joe?
To be honest, I saw some glimpses in the Liverpool game, and by all counts, you deserve to win that game. I don't think anyone could take that away from you guys. You kept Liverpool quiet through the long stretch of the game. They had their chances here and there, but obviously they're always going to have their chances. But going into this game, I feel like you're probably going to have even less of the ball. I feel because possession is sort of the thing that we go for. I'm curious to see because Bless and Guerra spoke about it this week in a prior pod, saying about how we've struggled against a low block and sort of what we can do to counteract that. And I imagine that is what we're going to see. And I just slightly curious as to how we are going to be able to break you down if you do have that defensive surety, because we beat Everton and we beat Manchester United, and they're 2 of the easiest teams to play against in the league at the time anyway. So, I think it's going to be, like I said at the top of the show, I think it's going to be very cagey. Yeah. I'm just curious to see how we are actually going to try and break you down, and because I imagine that we are going to have most of the ball.
Yeah, I think it will be a replica of the Ipswich game, but potentially more threat on the counter-attack that we'll be susceptible to. Yeah. I can see us basically just like living on the edge of your box and you just kind of waiting for like a clearance to break to Hudson-Odoi or Elanga, and then you just blitz poor Joel Veltman with pace down the left-hand side. What's your rebuttal, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I'm up for that. We've got Sousa now, who apparently is like the Paraguayan Cristiano Ronaldo, which I don't really know what that means, to be fair. I don't know if that's actually helpful or not.
I don't actually think it means a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but he's pacey. He's like a Paraguayan Elanga. So if we have got those two, I don't know if he'll start either of them. If I was Nuno, I'd be tempted to do similar to Liverpool and like try and see out the first 60 minutes and then bring those 2 on the wings when you're a bit tired out wide, especially with Hinchelwood and Veltman, and just get them just to run and just see what happens, because it will stretch the teams. Dunk's not that quick. Defensively, you're not that fast, are you? Is Van Hecke quick?
Van Hecke's, he has literally, I said it in another pod, he's Lewis Dunk's carer this season. So literally just cover everywhere he goes. Everywhere Dunk is, Van Hecke is looking to see whether he has to be doing some covering somewhere. So he's got a bit about him. He's got a bit about him.
He's looking and going, how's he going to mess this up? I bet he's right here.
Yeah, fair. Well, I think the pace will probably be an issue, and I think we do play a lot on the break, but we've got a few engines in midfield as well. So I think it's so interesting because I didn't predict the lineup that he put out against Liverpool, and he might completely change it for Brighton. So I've no idea what the game plan will be, but I think speed will definitely be a massive part of it.
And there we go. That's what we think of how the game will pan out on Super Sunday. Tell us at home if you think we're right, and tell us after the game if you want to give us some hate as well and say how wrong we were and how we know nothing about football. Feel free, we don't care. But yeah, just contact us on Twitter and let us know if we are right or wrong. After the break, we're going to be talking about this business that Nottingham Forest have done and the players that we are most wary about coming up against. So see you guys after the break.
Do you have a story to tell that the world needs to hear? Have you struggled reaching new audiences who are already engaged with your story? It might be time for you to start a podcast. Let me tell you about a platform we use here at the Global Sports Podcast Network. Zencastr makes it easy to start a high-quality podcast built for growth from day one. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes ums, ahs, you knows, and 22 other speech patterns, Zencastr makes it super easy to start a podcast that sounds great. Ready to tell your story? Check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
And what a charismatic sponsor ad that was. We are back, and like I say, I guess we'll give it to the guest first. And Mark, one thing that Brighton fans want to know is who should we be wary of? And where do you think you're going to attack us most and kind of have your most success against us this Sunday?
I think out wide is probably going to be a massive bit of success for us this weekend because of the pace that we've got. But I actually think, talking of the injuries that you've got, like Viper's out, isn't he? Is O'Reilly's out for a while? I don't know if either of them are back. I mean, I doubt he'll play Milner because you were saying he's probably a bit down the pecking order now. And with Ayari, he looks decent, to be fair. He looks all right. But I'm quite a big fan of Baleba. But I think depending on which midfield trio we put out, I feel like those two maybe could get overrun, which would be an issue for you because you're quite big on possession.
Yeah, do you reckon it will be a battle in the trenches, in the middle of the field, Joe?
That's exactly what I don't want to see, to be honest with you. I don't want to see scrappy and all that stuff is exactly plays into their hands massively. Yeah. So I don't really want to be seeing the ball popping up off people's shins and people getting as much as I enjoy it, I don't mind seeing a couple mad challenges in there, but like just for the sake of us, I'd rather not be seeing that, to be honest with you, because like if I'm just watching a game where the ball's just pinging around midfield and Elliot Anderson's just chasing after people, heavy breathing, and Belieber's just trying to knock people over and all this, then I know exactly what the result's going to be. So I'm not really up for that. We need to avoid that at all costs. But
it's just an episode of Gladiator, basically. Is what happens.
Literally. Like I don't want to see that, but because we play. Everything basically starts through going through the middle, or at least it goes out wide first and then we'll come through the middle, or it sometimes just goes straight into the middle. That is obviously prime opportunity for players like Elliot Anderson, Sangare, if he's fit, or basically all of your midfielders, to be honest, apart from James Ward-Prowse because he can't run.
Yeah, that's it.
But I don't really want to be seeing the scrappiness, to be honest with you. I need to be seeing the ball getting in there, and as soon as it gets into that midfield, I want to see it getting out to the wide players so we can start cooking, and then obviously let the rest just happen.
I'm not lying. I'm looking at Nottingham Forest's team and defence. I'm thinking it's going to actually be some of the hardest 1v1 matchups for our players, I think, that they've come up against this season. I think Mitoma against Anya, I think that's the battle I'm most looking forward to seeing. I think they are both class players, especially at this like middle, outside the top 6 level. They are both one of the best right backs and one of the best left wingers. And that's the bit where I'm thinking, who's going to get the upper hand? Mitoma, I had the displeasure of watching the Ipswich game, and he had a tough time against Axel Twansby. It's only going to get harder, you'd think, from here. And then the other side, it's Alex Moreno versus Minter. That's potentially the only side I can see us kind of getting some luck or some where we can potentially be stronger than them. But at centre back, you've got two great players in terms of Murillo, who me and Joe absolutely love, and
Yeah.
then the new signing Milinkovic. I mean, he's been a revolutionary for your defence, hasn't he?
Yeah, massive. He's a big, strong lad as well. But for 12 million, we thought, he might be all right. We've had a few 12 million centre backs that haven't come in and quite done it yet. But he walked in and we sold Niakate for 27 million to Lyon. I mean, that is outrageous business. Bought him for 12 and he is an absolute beast. And we're like, how have we done that? I think Murillo was like 11 million as well. Between the two of them, like 23 million at centre half. It's great business. And they seem to play really well together as well. And the good thing about Milenkovic is he is dangerous from dead balls, which we didn't really have last season. We didn't really have a danger other than Chris Wood. And it's nice to have a bit more physicality in those areas as well, especially when you're defending against people like Lewis Dunk, who, are dangerous attacking from corners.
That's about all he is. Sorry to my fellow Brighton fans. Mark, is there any bit of game, or is there anywhere that you're most frightened of us, like where you think, oh, we could be weak here, or is it like I said, where you think our defense is strong, we probably won't concede, especially if we're playing a low block?
I think the danger for me is I like Moreno as a player, but he's very good going forward, as are a lot of our fullbacks. And I think where you'll catch us is if like Matoma and Minte make a run in behind and you get the ball through. I think it depends on how good your outball is. This is what I said for the Forest-Liverpool game. If our outball's good, we might have a few breaks. We might get in a few times. And the ball from Elanga to Hudson-Odoi was outrageous. And if you've got someone in the middle who can ping those balls over the top, who's actually quality, then if you can get Minter in round behind, I think he could cause some real issues. I think it could be really dangerous. But I think it's going to be really interesting. And I think I genuinely looked at the lineup and I think like both teams have got quite strong benches now as well. Both teams look really good. You've always been strong against us, but I think it will genuinely come down to form, like which team are on it on the day and which team's not. I think that's literally what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I think our last, since we've met in the Premier League, I think Brighton have won 2, Forest have won 1, and I think the other game's been a draw. So it is going to be, this is the 5th game, and the way both teams are playing at the moment, it could kind of go any way. I mean, they are both on top form. After this break, we're going to be talking about our combined 11. We've come up with 7 that we've agreed with, and then there are 4 that we're going to start debating. So let's see you after the break.
This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network, every club, every day.
And we are back to discuss our combined 11. So the rules, as always, go for we can't have any injured players in the squad, which I don't believe we have. Let's correct us if we're wrong on Sunday. But yeah, we're starting off in goal. We've agreed on Bart Verbruggen.
Yeah,
I think that was a pretty easy one. Sells, maybe not the guy.
I think he'll get in most. I think he'll get in quite a lot this season.
Yeah, I think
he's
Verbruggen's
one of the
actually
better
quite
keepers
good.
in the league.
Yeah, he's one of the better.
I mean, Sells has been decent for us. He's actually been quite strong, but I think Verbruggen edges it for this one. He is a good keeper.
Yeah, and then we've got left back. We're going with Estepinian, who we've agreed on. So that's Hinchelwood benched for us, Joe. What a surprise that is, eh?
Oh, wow. Shock horror.
And then we've gone for, like we mentioned, the player we love, Murillo, as one of our centre-backs. And then this is where the debate begins. We've got the £12 million man Mark has spoken so highly of. And then we've got our guy, or my guy, in my opinion, best player so far this season,
Yeah, I think
Jean-Paul
so.
Van Hecke. Who's going to make their case for their man first?
I'll go. So, like I said earlier, he's actually playing left centre back and right centre back this season. He's doing both. He's doing it to a very high level. He did get into the Dutch team. Okay, it was on a technicality, but they have a wealth of talent there anyway. And I just think we said that in the podcast yesterday, we said we think that he's probably been one of the best centre backs, maybe probably top 7, top 10 centre backs in the league so far this season. I know it's very early, but I think he deserves to be in there. As good as I think the difference between Forest and us is that you guys are, as a unit, are probably a lot better than we are, whereas we've had to sort of rely on individual performances, and he's been that one who's been given those performances. So I think on that count, that's why he's my pick.
Yeah, fair. I do think he's a good player, but I will argue back that Milenkovic is better purely because he's actually got into the Serbia team despite the fact there's no competition, and also
That'll be why then.
because and the winning point because he would just eat Van Hecke. He's that big.
Okay.
He's a beast, and I think purely on them, he wins.
Purely on being a cannibal,
Yeah.
according to Mark, he's going to go through. So I guess we need to agree, guys. Who are we going for? I would say you've got the other centre back. How about we mix and match our centre backs?
Yeah, go on.
Playing
Let's have a
devil's
pick and mix.
advocate.
Yeah, pick and mix of the centre backs.
Lovely.
So we'll go Van Hecke. You're welcome, all Brighton fans.
I'm allergic to him. See, sneezed.
And then we have agreed on Ola Anya as our right back.
Yeah.
That was
fair.
a tough one between him and Joel Veltman. That's for damn sure. Don't hate on
here's the
Joel
big
Veltman.
question, though. I'm looking at your lineup for tonight, and Hinchelwood's at right back, so it could be changed for the weekend.
Yeah, that is potential for.
Hinchelwood, I don't think he's going to play.
I don't think
very
he'll play
much,
right
very
back.
much going forwards. To be honest,
I think that's purely just because it's a cup game.
Yeah,
He's there.
I forgot about Insizo as well. Adingra, Ferguson, there's loads. Vifer's back on the bench tonight, by the way, so he might be fit for
Wiffer's
the
back on the
weekend.
bench. Yeah,
Result. And then our centre mid, Mark, out of the blue, has decided to give us Carlos Baliba after an absolute worldy performance.
Yeah.
It definitely got me on the hype train. Joe was already on the hype train.
Yeah,
and now
choo-choo.
we've seen to have grabbed Mark as well on this hype train of Carlos Baliba.
Oh, I've already been on it, hon. I was on it last season. I was there ready. He just didn't get enough game time. But I think this season has kind of really shown what he can do. And he's kind of like the new Moises Caicedo. So, another 105 million incoming for Brighton in January. Woohoo.
Then the other one that we're debating is, and this is a rogue one, because we're debating Nottingham Forest players. We're debating James Ward-Prowse, who Joe is a big fan of, and Elliot Anderson, who has actually been surprisingly good this season. And then we've thrown in a Yari there just to make up the numbers.
Yari's in there for a ha-he. He's just the banter, isn't he? But I would say, like, the reason with Ward-Prowse, I throw it in me, is the dead ball is just so good. Anderson has got a good dead ball as well. But I feel like I want to swing towards Anderson with Joe because he's cursed Ward-Prowse that much that he's either going to score an own goal, get sent off, or score a worldy winner, in which case I will relish every moment.
I'll delete all social media if that happens.
He's actually left the podcast.
I'm actually quite a big fan of Elliot Anderson. I think similar to the Minte move for us, I think you guys took advantage of the. Is it? I always forget. Is it PSR or ESR?
PSR.
PSR. Yeah, I think you took advantage as well. They had to sell quite a lot of the players that were already there before the takeover or Pony, so they couldn't sell them. That's why Jacob Murphy's starting. That's why Almiron's still there. So if Saudi didn't come knocking, they're not getting any peas. So they had to sell the actual decent players. So I like him, and I think it's a lot more balanced. Like we said prior, I think it's a lot more balanced than having I mean, James Ward-Prowse, believe would have to do everything because James Ward-Prowse is a codger, mate. He can't run. So,
Yeah, fair. I hear that.
Yeah.
Anderson fits into the youth team. We've realised we've created like a joint 11 nursery lineup from Brighton and Forest junior team.
So that is Elliot Anderson alongside Belieber as our centre mid partnership. And like Joe was saying, another team that took advantage of Newcastle's PSR struggles, and that was us. And that is with the man who is starting as our right winger. We've picked Minter over Alanga, and I think Minter's on good form for our combined exercise, Joe. I think
he's made it into all of them. Yeah, I think
he has.
I think every fan of all the other teams that we've played so far have rated him. Oh, he wouldn't have. Oh no, we didn't do one with Arsenal, did we? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but I think he's class, but he has been very up and down with his. He's so raw. He could honestly go so far, but I could also see him not going far at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's just once he gets into a rhythm, he'll be fine. And once he irons out some things in his game that I think are so stupid that he does, I think he'll be a top talent, the reincarnation of Sadio Mane, mate. So
yeah, I think he will be. But I think the thing with Minter, why everyone's putting him in the team, is because everyone's terrified because no one knows what to expect. It's that kind of unknown thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he got final last season.
I mean, it's the burst of pace that scares any team, and every other team looks at it and goes, "Oh wow, like that is something we want." Like he's probably one of the quickest players in the league. Where it gets more difficult and where we are both going to be on our own player's side is at Cam, and this is a fight between Morgan Gibbs-White and João Pedro. This is a tough one. I mean, this is a tight battle between two elite players.
Do you know what's mad? I looked at your lineup tonight and obviously saw Evan Ferguson's starting. I mean, I can't believe he's not even in your starting lineup this season. At one point last year, he was undroppable. It's mental. And you've got Danny Welbeck's in there as well. But when I was thinking of the combined 11, in my head, I put Morgan Gibbs-White as the 10 and João Pedro as the 9.
That's a lot of people have done that, yeah.
A lot of to combine them and put them in one position. I'm you can't do that. The only position I would go is to give Morgan Gibbs-White the advantage is that João Pedro has never played for England, and that's because he's Brazilian.
Do you know what? I think Morgan Gibbs-White's class. The highlight for me last season was when he picked the ball up and done a random little spin to try and avoid the player taking the ball off him. That was amazing. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Also, his girlfriend is so fit. I'm not going to lie. His girlfriend is unbelievable, mate. I can't. I don't know if I can say that on this podcast.
Because I've got headphones on, so it's fine.
I don't know if I can even say that on this pod, but I've said it now, so whatever.
Too late.
I do think he's class, but I just think João Pedro is. I think he's probably. He might even have the highest ceiling out of all our players in the team. He's so young. He's got so much ability. He could do everything as a forward player that you want. And he's also started the season so well. I don't know if Gibbs-White. He's got a goal, hasn't he, Gibbs-White?
Yeah, Southampton.
Yeah. So I mean, they must be obviously quite close on stats. But João Pedro's got 2 goals and an assist or something stupid like that. So. I just think stats wise so far on such a small sample size he's been a tiny bit better, and I think that to be honest, I don't know who has more potential because I like Gibbs-White as well. I do like him a lot, but I think that João Pedro is just he's just a cut above a little bit. So I'm gonna stick with him.
I think if I had to do my own personal combined 11, I probably would put João Pedro up front with Morgan Gibbs-White behind him because just imagine.
Yeah.
Now, I guess, this is the difficulty is who do we actually put in and do we leave this up for the listeners because neither of us are going to budge. But, I mean, I love watching Morgan Gibbs-White. I think he was literally the only reason you didn't get relegated last season, wasn't he? He's apart from the bottom 3 being useless.
He's the only reason, I think he's the only reason 20,000 people bought season tickets. Let alone getting relegated. He's the only reason our club is financially stable because of him. Do you know what I mean? But he is a really good player.
The only thing that could kind of switch it is the fact that I think Nottingham Forest are more reliant on Gibbs White than I think Brighton are, or we are them with João Pedro or on João Pedro, because we've got replacements. We've got Ruta that can fit in there, whereas Gibbs White, I think there is no replacement.
There's
for
probably
him.
a massive drop off after Gibbs White, isn't there?
Exactly.
Yeah,
There's
no,
a drop off.
right.
There's still obviously a drop off with João Pedro, but it's not as much as
that. Yeah. I absolutely love Gibbs White. That's a tough one. We'll leave that one to the
yeah.
listeners.
Let's put it out to socials and see what happens. We'll do a little poll. Why don't we do that? We'll do a poll.
Yeah, we'll do a poll. Who's better, Gibbs White or João Pedro? And then we'll leave it to you to decide.
I'd love to watch João Pedro in cam. Actually, I've never seen him in cam. I've always seen him as a striker, so it'd be well interesting to see what he's like.
He's been playing there all season so far. To be fair,
yeah, he picks up. He's just brilliant at picking up pockets.
Yeah, he's got a free. Do you know one Football Manager where you just click free roam? They just go anywhere. Yeah, he literally just runs around the front of the box. He's just there, just going.
Yeah,
the whole time. So
which is perfect.
See, that wouldn't work with me.
Yeah,
if I had free roam as a player, I'd just go to Pret or Burger King. If I'd have free roam to the local supermarket, I wouldn't be on the pitch. Yeah. Free roam. All right, see you later. Yeah, you go coffee or food? Oh, lemons.
Oh dear.
Left wing. We're going. What's his name? Matoma.
Yeah.
What's his name?
We've got Matoma over Callum Hudson-Odoi on that one. And we hope the Nottingham Forest fans don't hate us too much for that, but we are. Yeah, I think Matoma could easily fit for one of the Champions League teams if they weren't stacked in that position. I think he's that good.
He probably plays for United.
Oh, easily. Yeah. Oh, he's better than Rashford.
He's better than Anthony for sure.
Yeah. Oh, God. I'm better than Anthony.
I think the one thing I'd back up Hudson-Odoi is I think last year he had an amazing season, but this year it's the test of can he do it again?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This is and then it'll be a different conversation with a lot of players. Matoma's great though.
Yeah, and we were saying off air, weren't we, that Callum Hudson-Odoi, likewise with Anthony Elanga, it suits the level of Nottingham Forest or a team like Brighton or those mid-table teams is where he belongs and where he can actually shine. He's not like that next level to probably play at a top 4 team, but at these kind of levels is where you see his true potential, and where they kind of give him the ball and give him free rein is where he can kind of produce most of his magic. But finally, we have got a battle of the Barclays, since that's trending at the moment. We have got Danny Welbeck versus Chris Wood.
Whoa.
That is a tough old matchup. Oh no, that is an up striker for us.
That is a giant.
30-plus-year-olds.
That's meant. Do you know what? I'm actually going to go first, but I'm going to actually say a point for Chris Wood just before I start going on about Uncle Welbeck. Right. Last season, I've actually got a message off my mate, and he's gone. We were all at one person's house and we were all watching the footy. Right, I left before this game. I can't remember who it was against. I want to say it was Newcastle. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I think if it's the hat trick game, you're
it is the hat trick. It was against Newcastle.
Yeah,
he turned into prime R9, right? And I watched the highlights and I was getting told about the goals. And I'm thinking, yeah, right, he's chipped it over the keeper with his left foot. All this, whatever, right? Watch the highlights, mate. And I'm thinking, who is this? Right? He was low key an animal last season. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, here's the thing, right? As Forest fans, right? We were so buzzing that he got 3 shots on target. Let alone that good. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I must be watching the Champions League highlights. Where's the leg on? Do you know what I mean? It was crazy. And up until then, he was like kind of in and out, not really hitting form, like the occasional goal here and there. Like, I mean, I was one of the first Forest fans to be like, why have we signed him? Doesn't make sense. But now he's like flying, which is great for us, obviously. But up against Danny Welbeck's definitely got more agility, I would say.
I think Danny Welbeck's all-round game is just a lot better than Chris Wood's. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Chris Wood outscored him last season, though.
Yeah,
Probably by a bit.
Well, Welbeck's not really your goal scorer, though, is he? He's kind of the one that links it all together. That's
he's the glue. He's like the Firmino to the Mane and Salah, if you like. He's the sort of the connector to everything. And he's been class this season, to be fair.
Yeah,
There's a couple of chances in the Arsenal game where I'm sort of thinking if the Iari chance fell to Danny Welbeck, we win that game.
yeah.
So like he just offers so much, and he's got so much experience, and like to be able to do sort of everything at that age is very impressive, and that's why he's my GOAT. So. Yeah.
Well, I think I can throw in just one more option: combined Brighton and Forest striker that I think potentially could be all of these, the ultimate GOAT, as I'm sure you will agree. And I think a deserving option of that top spot in the combined 11, it's got to be Glenn Murray. Icon, like what a legend! Do you know what I mean? How many goals did he score for you, by the way? Christ!
Yeah.
I
think he's our second ever.
Second highest.
Yeah, second highest top goal scorer with 111. I want to say. Yeah. Mad.
And he's actually still fit more than the 1 year is now.
Where is a 1 year? What's going on?
What's happened
We
to
could
a
have him
1
on the
year?
bench, to be fair. He's a Gonye. That's what's happened.
He started off last season so well. He just died
it's
off.
such a shame. He just needs to get fit again, I think. But obviously, Chris Wood's firing, so we can't drop him. What we're saying, we're gonna go. I want to think. I still want to fight for Pedro up front. You know.
I feel like we're just gonna. It has to be Danny Welbeck. We forgot to say the rule is Danny Welbeck basically has to play
every single team.
Every single team, Danny Welbeck. If we're the home team hosting you guys, Danny Welbeck basically has to be in there.
I cannot wait till the Champions League next year when you host Real Madrid. Welbeck over Mbappe. That is great.
Right, Everton, we'll put Mbappe on the left, mate, and then Danny Welbeck got front.
Danny Welbeck playing the Champions League. I can't wait for it.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
Times. So there we go. That is our full 11. We have got Verbruggen in goal, Estepinian left back, a centre back partnership of Murillo and Van Hecke, Olaranya on the right, Baleba and Elliot Anderson as our centre mids. Ooh. The team only keeps getting younger as well from there because we've got Minter on the right, Gibbs White at oh no, we've got a decider. Gibbs White or Pedro at Cam. God, almost gave it away there. Mitoma, he's a pensioner in this team at left wing. And then the real granddad of the squad, Danny Welbeck up top.
Yeah, that's the captain.
That's captain.
He's the captain, and Olanya is the vice captain.
Yeah, to celebrate. And what an absolute winning moment to finish the podcast is that the combined 11 holding midfielder, Mr. Carlos Baleba, has put you in front tonight against Wolves.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable.
At time of recording.
Well, yeah.
Taking the lead.
It's actually the podcast prison cell.
Well, thank you guys for so much for joining us and listening to what we have to say. Thank you to Mark for speaking to us and putting up with us. It was a nice little pod I think we had.
Really good fun. Yeah, it was really great.
That was good, mate.
Well, and to all the listeners, if you guys want to tune into the daily Nottingham Forest podcast, then feel free and you'll get a lot more of Mark, and they'll also probably do a review of the game. So check them out. And from us, that is see you later.
This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Wait there.
Good outro, mate.
Yeah, this is the worse outro than yesterday, I reckon.
All right, we'll get there eventually.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.